Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. If I sound like I'm sick, it's because I was in Cabo all week long. So excuse my voice. I'm so excited to talk about week 6. I think these matchups, and every week I say this, are going to be exciting because I believe the NFL has been far from boring to start off the season. And we've got some new people here. I'd like to welcome in Brock and Jeff. You know who Brock is if you're watching Team NBS. He's all over the place. And of course, Jeff Barnes, the head coach, the know-it-all. How are you guys?
Good. Just roll along over here.
Yeah.
Same over here.
I know. I think it's a slow Sunday, at least for me.
Listen, well, you look very bronze, so
Good.
Cabo was good to you.
That's what I was hoping for. I was outside, because I could show you the weather now in the city. It's like I'm in the fog, so it's a sad day to be back. Okay, well, I think we've got 3 exciting games to talk about. But first of all, we're going to kick things off with the firing of Jets head coach. And I think this is a huge topic, of course. Jets have not been what they want to be and who they said they were going to be to start the season. And this is their way of showing that they're going to change things. Now, I'd love to hear from both of you what you think. Is this going to happen? When this happens mid-season, first of all, how does this affect your team? I know we're only 6 weeks in, but I do think that after him being there for a year plus, there's knowledge about the players and how the team dynamics are going. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that.
You want to go first, Brock?
Sure, I'll take this. To answer that first part of the question, what does things look like now that he's gone? I think it is a fog that is going to start to lift over the Jets. Now, whether that is Robert Saleh's fault or organizational issue, that is to be determined. But whenever you have a new start, there seems to be a bit of an invigorated locker room, at least from my experience seeing it. Now, how long that lasts is going to be totally dependent on his coaching staff and will Aaron Rodgers play in general. If things do not improve, then there's clearly that there's another issue at play besides Saleh, and then that's when the finger point is going to start to begin again. However, in the meantime, I think Jeff Albright has an opportunity to kind of rewrite the narrative on their season and, address things with fresh new eyes, especially now that the Nathaniel Hackett decision has been made. Todd Downing will take over on play calling. When it comes to the situation in general, do I believe that there was a future for the Jets and Robert Saleh? No. I'm pretty sure it's pretty clear that ship is already sailed. Do I believe that firing Robert Saleh was a wrong move? Also no. But the way they went about it just exemplifies the disorder that is the New York Jets front office, something that has been a theme ever since Woody Johnson took over in the year 2000 with his ownership. The Jets had clear problems coming into training camp, and instead of addressing them in the offseason, they decided to try and wait and see if it would figure its way out or fix itself on its own, just like it did with the Hassan Reddick situation. And like Hassan Reddick, it just didn't work out, and you end up looking foolish again. So the way they went about it was wrong. The move wasn't, but in typical Jets fashion, they can never seem to get anything right, even when it's the most simplest of things.
Yeah, I'm going to say this about the situation. I don't believe firing Robert Saleh is going to totally fix anything. And the reason being, I believe this all stems from your big-time, multi-million-dollar quarterback, right? He's not playing well. This offense is not playing well. Robert Saleh is not an offensive guru. He was a defensive line coach and a defensive coordinator who came over from San Francisco to be your head coach. He had a very defensive culture, but it wasn't him that was the problem. Your defense was playing up and down, yes. If you fired him for the defense, that was one thing. You fired him because this offense is underperforming, which means that's Nathaniel Hackett, and that's your quarterback. Why is your offense underperforming? Well, maybe if your quarterback was there in mini camps like he was supposed to be working out with these young receivers, maybe it was in training camp getting the rapport down with these young receivers, things would have started off a lot faster. We kind of noticed that when he skips all of those workouts, the offenses he plays in underperform in the early part of the season because it takes him a half a season to get going. Well, you wouldn't have that issue if he was able to go out there and do what he was supposed to do. Yes, he recovered from an injury, but you know what? He chose to stay away like he did in Green Bay those last couple of years. Those offenses underperformed early in the season. They always caught on late in the season. Right? So if you're going to blame it all on Robert Saleh, you're looking in the wrong place. It starts with your quarterback. He wanted these receivers. He wanted this offensive coordinator. He wanted things his way. It's not working out, right? He got hurt last year, so you can blame it on the injury for last year. You get a mulligan for that. But no, you wanted to bring in an aging quarterback who wanted to have say in your organization. It's not working out. It wasn't all on Robert Saleh. Part of it is on your quarterback. You need to lay down the expectation that, hey, guess what? Yes, we got rid of Robert Saleh, but you're not immune from being replaced too. If you're not going to say that to Aaron Rodgers, guess what? You're wasting your time.
You know, Jeff, I just want to touch on that point a little bit. If you are implying the New York Jets organization has some type of footing to stand on or a foundation built in the building that gives them the ability to be able to stand up to their star players. The problem is they sold their soul essentially to get Aaron Rodgers. Not only did they give massive draft capital to the Green Bay Packers for him, they also extended him, and you are essentially letting him run the offense in terms of personnel and play calling, because Nathaniel Hackett is an Aaron Rodgers yes man. There's no other way to go about it. But the reason why they were so successful in Green Bay with Hackett is partly because of Matt LaFleur and his offensive ideology built in that Sean McVay tree. But nobody ever talks about that part. Everyone thinks that it was something else. My question is, how much more the Jets to go and give Aaron Rodgers for him to be successful? Oh, we need him to get Devontae Adams now. Aaron Rodgers is one of the only star quarterbacks that doesn't get any flack for always demanding more superstar players to flank him on the football field. You already gave him Randall Cobb, and that didn't work out. You already gave him Alan Lazard, and that's not working out. Garrett Wilson is supposed to be this premier wide receiver. He's not good enough to be your wide receiver one. You have one of the best running back tandems in the entire NFL. You have not a premier offensive line, but certainly not a scrub offensive line by many. There are some man movers upon that offensive line, and they are good, way too good for you to be complaining about them. Lastly, and most importantly, we talk about that defense. I think that we're going to see a dramatic decrease in the effectiveness of that defense because Saleh isn't there. I think Jeff Ulbrich is a decent defensive coordinator. I don't think he is the primary reason behind this defense's success. And you're going to see a lot of those cracks start to open up as the season goes on. More importantly, this goes to the front office. I'm talking to Joe Douglas. I'm talking to Woody Allen. If you have any type of belief in yourself, you need to stand up to Aaron Rodgers. You need to stand up for yourself and what you believe in. Because I can tell these moves weren't made just primarily on your own. Unfortunately, Woody Johnson is a person that's too concerned with his own image and ego to realize that everything he does harms both. And Joe Douglas is too much of a, guy that thinks that he knows everything to realize that he truly knows nothing about how to address the situation. And when these cracks start to reopen themselves in 2 to 3 weeks, because the root problems, like you mentioned, Jeff, are still there, it's going to be fun to watch for us. But for Jets fans, it's going to be another reminder the type of idiocy they have to deal with on a year-to-year basis.
And you are absolutely right. Joe Douglas has to step up, right? Just like Brian Gutekunst stepped up in Green Bay and said, enough's enough, Aaron. You got to go. We're moving on with the young man we have, all right? At some point as a GM, right, you realize a player can get you fired. He just got a head coach fired, okay? He can get you fired as well. If this goes bad, this whole situation goes bad, at some point, you're going to look at this and go, okay, what went wrong? And Aaron Rodgers is going to keep pointing around the room. He's never, ever going to point back at himself. All right. So there are quarterbacks that take accountability. He ain't one of them. He ain't never been that dude. He's not that dude. And plain and simple, it's not happening. Okay. So if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm looking at going, I'm not exactly immune from prosecution in this case. I better go out there and make sure I'm doing what's best to keep my job. I just got rid of the guy I thought was going to help me fix this situation. I'm going to make sure I fix this situation and not somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could agree with you, Jeff, about that's the way he should go about the situation. But as a general manager, you can only make one mistake at the quarterback position. He's on number 2 at this point. If he admits failure again, then the Jets have no reason to fire him. At least that's what I think his mindset is right now. Not necessarily what the reality of what he should do is. I think he's so scared that if the Rodgers experiment fails, which is failing right now, that they're going to get rid of him as a, as collateral for this absolute dumpster fire of a move. And that's why I don't think that he has the courage to go up and try and get his third quarterback, because quite frankly, they're going to make somebody else choose number 3 if number 2 doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think you guys have touched on a lot of points. And for the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers asking for Devontae Adams, I think that's the hot topic of the time. And Brock said it perfectly. How many more players does he need to be successful on a team that he is supposed to be the main asset for? So curious to see how this unfolds for the Jets. And today they take on the Bills. And we know that the Bills are struggling a little bit just because they were missing Khalil Shakir. But I think aside from that, they're a tough opponent. And so this is going to be, we're going to see how this all unfolds slowly for the rest of the season. All right, let's break into our first matchup of the day. We've got, I think this one is the most exciting. The 2 strongest offenses right now. The Commanders are taking on the Ravens in Washington, which is only 30 minutes away. Oh, sorry, in Baltimore. I have them reversed, which either way, they're only 30 minutes apart from each other. So this is not like a true road game. I think if you have to travel only 30 minutes to get to work, that's not a bad day in my mind. So I would love to first off hear, what are you thinking of the Commanders, Brock? We've talked about it last week, Jeff, Joe, and I. We know what Joe has to say, of course. So Brock, what do you think about these firing hot Commanders right now?
I have been very impressed by what I saw. I think that they're serious contenders this year. They are in prime position to win the division, which would be on brand, considering we haven't had a back-to-back winner in that division since, I believe, the early 2000s, if not before. I think that Dan Quinn has always been an underrated head coach. I think that people forget how good Atlanta was during his time there, even not during the Super Bowl year, but even the year after and some of the years previous to that. I think that Cliff Kingsbury is a coach that has re-established himself as a premier offensive mind, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's again an NFL head coach in 2025. Jaden Daniels has extremely impressed me. I didn't expect him to be this good, this fast. I had some massive concerns about his safety, but he's doing everything right. He's playing within the structure of the offense. He's putting the ball on the money. He's keeping himself safe, and he's never doing too much. When you have a quarterback at that age with his lack of experience doing all those things, you can't help but salivate at what the future could hold for him and the Commanders. I think the team looks like a well-oiled machine. I think getting rid of Jahan Dotson was a brilliant move, and I think that helps contribute to the success that they've had so far. And then when you look at them on the defensive side of the ball, they're firing on all cylinders. It just kind of makes you think what would have happened if Dan Quinn was there maybe a year earlier, and they still had some of those outside defensive weapons on the edge. Regardless, I think the Commanders have done an excellent job, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull the upset today against Baltimore.
Ooh, rapid fire drop there. All right, Jeff, my question for you. These are 2 strong offenses. Now, which defense do you see putting up that first stop? Because I think that really changes the momentum of this game.
Well, I think the first stop is going to come from the Commanders. I think Baltimore will start slow and pick it up as they go along. I think the Commanders are going to get the first stop early, and then you're going to see Baltimore pick it up, and it'll become a very competitive game up until the end. The Battle of the Beltway is going to be very emotional. These 2 teams, yes, they're very close to each other geographically. They have a lot of commingling fans because they're both from the same areas. But at the end of the day, Commanders fans are Commanders fans because they were once the other name fans. And Baltimore fans are always been Ravens fans because they didn't have a team for many years before the Ravens came to town. So there's still a difference in these two fan bases. You're going to see a ravenous Ravens fan base at home with some Commanders fans mixed in because it's right down the road. It's going to be a very interesting matchup with these two quarterbacks. Both create a lot of things. I wouldn't go putting Cliff Kingsbury back in the head coach seat too fast there, Brock, because I think there are still owners that are soured on the Arizona experience with him in the head seat. I think he's going to need another year as an OC before he's solidified as a top candidate for a head coaching job again. But overall, he's done a great job of grooming Jayden Daniels for his rookie year. He's caught on to what he's trying to do there. He's playing within the system very well. But they're also doing a great job of not falling behind. You look at the game that they lost early. They fell behind. They weren't able to recover. They've done a great job of scoring early, getting out to leads, and holding on to games a lot differently than what they've done early in the season when they had that early loss where they were trying to come back versus Tampa Bay. I think that's the secret to their sauce. Like we saw with some of the other hot teams right now, get that early lead. Don't Minnesota is what I really want to say. Get that early lead. Don't make your quarterback have to be to play hero ball all the time, and you're going to be able to go out there and win games. It allows their defense to be on top, allows them to rush the passer, it allows them to take the running game away. Same thing that we saw with the defense in Dallas is what Dan Quinn has brought to Washington. So that's been their secret sauce. That's one reason why the Commanders have been successful. Early leads in games.
All right, well, we have a missing Brian Robinson Jr. in this matchup, which means it's coming on to Austin Eckler. We've seen him successful with the Chargers. I don't think there's many bads to say for Eckler, but he did say he did not want to be the main workhorse throughout the entire season, which is completely understandable. Now, tonight is not that night for him. Sorry to say that for Eckler, but the Ravens defense is able to stop any type of rushing attempt. I think they are only allowing 60 yards, give or take, per game. So when you have that number, it's very low. How do you adjust for that against this Ravens defense?
Jeff?
Go ahead.
So I think the main thing is you have to look at what you were able to do that's going to be effective against this team, right? So even though they're really good at that, the main thing is, prime example, teams that are really good against the run. How are they good against the run? Are they stout at the middle? Do we have the ability to work outside, break down the discipline of that defense, come back inside to keep them honest, but beat them on the edges with speed? Some teams are able to do that. With this team, I think you got to figure out what their weakest at in that segment and attack that, kind of make it your strength. So if you're able to do that, that's the way you're going to be able to beat them with it. If they can't, then what they're going to have to do is rely heavily on the opposite side of that. And when you kind of get pigeonholed into that one-dimensional thing, that's kind of hard for you. So you got to kind of keep them honest. You may be able to threaten them with it. You don't have to have the most success. Threaten them with it and be able to build off of it. But what you're not going to be able to do is go right into the mouth of what they do best. So if it's a team that's built strong up the middle, you want to be able to work them off the edges, wear them down so you can go inside on them. If it's a team that's really fast, you want to kind of pound at them so it slow them down so you can go outside of them. So you got to kind of look at what they're doing well in that area to kind of say, okay, how can we attack that without directly attacking it?
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jeff. The only thing that I would add to that is that if I was to watch the Commanders offense, I'd combine two things. One, the stretch run with the bootleg play action, and of course the RPO. I think that if he can have success early, especially the pass aspects of those, he can help open up the Ravens defense. But honestly, it's going to be very hard for him to get an effective run game. Austin Eckler, as mentioned, doesn't want to be the premier running back. He never did. At least for my time as a Chargers fan, he was always perfect as a receiving back. Why the Chargers expanded his role to something he's not comfortable with, I never understood. But that was the incompetency of my favorite team. But with that being said, there are some special things they can do with Eckler and both the run and the pass game to help open up both. I think that if you're very effective on that, it will be very beneficial for the Commanders. I know we got to move on, but I just wanted to touch on this, Jeff, real quick. I know you said it's going to take one more year for Cliff to kind of rebuild his name and get hired. Bill Carroll coined this term, and he and I had a good laugh about this a couple months ago when it comes to Cliff Kingsbury, and that's the term of falling upwards, and that's exactly what Cliff Kingsbury does. We've seen it time and time again in his career, and honestly, he hits all the boxes for what owners are looking for. He has the right image, he has the right football philosophy mindset, and we've seen him have success with two young quarterbacks that epitomize what the modern mold for NFL quarterbacks are, which is not mobile quarterbacks. So I actually think it'll be a lot sooner. And I'm looking at a team playing right now in London that I think would be very interested in his services come next season.
Well, you mentioned it. Two mobile quarterbacks. I feel like that's the most exciting piece to this, is that Lamar has that, of course, ability to just change an entire game with his legs. And Jaden Daniels likes to do that himself. So when you're taking on two mobile quarterbacks and two strong offenses, I want to understand where do you decide, I guess, when is Lamar or either Jaden deciding to not use their legs and just get the ball out quickly? Because I think that's where they could fall apart. I think for Jaden in this matchup, he could decide to take advantage of the space that he sees, and that could maybe cause a turnover. Not putting that in the universe, Joe, in case you're watching, but I'm just mentioning, I think that's where mistakes happen, especially with young QBs. So as a fan or as a player, where are you making that change?
But I think with these two quarterbacks, the quick game is their strength, right? We talk about a lot of them run that RPO style of offense, which is what they love to do in the Cliff Kingsbury offense. That's what they're doing with Todd Monken's system, right? Both of these guys are throwing quick. They're throwing on schedule. It's the off-schedule stuff that's kind of where you want to. Yes, it can be their strength, but it's also a weakness when those guys aren't separating. All right, so I think what you kind of want to do is you kind of want to make them hold the ball, okay? In the RPO game, you want to try to take that quick throw away where they have to either give it or hold it, where you're going to have to force something into coverage, or you're going to get those penalties for an ineligible man downfield, because those linemen on RPO are also run blocking, so they kind of go past that. They have to throw it quick before that lineman advances past that buffer in the passing game. So what happens is with RPO, you want to make them hold it too long. Also, what you want to do is in those situations where you have to get them in third and long, where they have to get in the traditional pass sets and go through their progressions, you want to contain them in the pocket while making them hold the football. You want to cover it so they have to actually sit in the pocket longer, where your pass rush can get there and break things down, where they're going to make mistakes. They're going to force balls into coverage. They're going to hold it too long, take sacks, possibly fumble the football. Those are what the mistakes are made with these two quarterbacks. So that's what you want to do is, yes, you do want to make them hold the ball longer, but not running outside of the pocket where they're comfortable. Keep them in the pocket where they have to hold the ball. They can't escape. They have to be patient with those receivers down the field, and they're possibly force it into coverage or take sacks that they don't want to take.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add on that. I think definitely you need to have your ends pretty contained. You can't have them firing off the edge of the quarterback, because that's how they hurt you with their legs. If I am a defensive line coach, I'm telling my big boys up front, any pass rush move you want to do today, swim, rip, club, throw it away. What you're going to do is you're going to bull rush right in the middle, because it's not about getting sacks on these kind of quarterbacks. It's about closing up space in the pocket and being able to make them uncomfortable in that situation where their running instinct automatically kicks in, but then since you already have contained, they really have nowhere to run, and therefore the play is already blown up. I agree with Jeff. You want to take away the short game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of single high safety looks in this game, but again, that can be exploited when you have the arms of Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels with the offensive schemes that they run. To me, if you're Washington, you go one-on-one with Mark Andrews, you shut down Isaiah Likely, and you try your best to shut down the short routes to Zay Flowers. I think that gives you the best ability to win. If you're the Commanders, I think that you're the Ravens, I say you rush for, you try to shrink the pocket as much as possible and force Jade to make some uncomfortable throws deep. And I'm going to just bet on my guys to be able to make a play compared to his guys.
Well, we know that Terry McLaurin will be waiting down the field for those deep passes. Okay, we're going to go into our rapid fire picks from last week because I skipped over that. I apologize. So Jeff, take it away. How did we do last week? I know I did really bad because I chose too many with my heart, if you wanted to go that way.
Well, sometimes going with the gut is good, and then there's other reasons, right? Yeah, you didn't do great, 5-8, but nevertheless, you're still in the lead. Greg, had a rough week. 6-7. Me and Joe kind of just beat the 500 mark. So Greg is a game behind you. I'm several games behind you, and Joe's way behind. I do have Joe's picks, so Joe's picks will be in today. And we get some honorary picks from Brock as well. And by the way, we just had a Bears score, so that new score will be up soon. But that's where we are on the standings. Ashmere is still in the lead with Greg very close behind. I'm somewhere lying in the weeds, hanging on. And then Joe is in the boat trying to catch up. So
who scored? Don't tell me it's Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen's second touchdown of the day.
Are you for real?
Yeah. He woke up in London.
Yeah. Whatever.
An American wide receiver in London.
Whatever. All right, we're going to take a quick break before we roll into our next two games. So if you're joining us now, welcome to Moving the Chains, and we will be back soon. Are you looking for an energy boost during the day, but you don't like the coffee crash? Be sure to check out Clean Cause. They have delicious yerba mate teas with 150 milligrams of caffeine, but without the jitters. They also donate 50% of their net profits to help with drug and alcohol addiction. Interested in more? Click the link in our bio to get your first case.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like.
Who should you start this week? Who should you bench? And who has been showing up lately? Find out this and more in our Fantasy Talk segment. We will be right back with more Moving the Chains.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. I am with Jeff and Brock. We're getting back into it, and we're going to talk about our next matchup today. So, the boys and the Cowboys, the boys and the Lions are taking it to Dallas, and I think Jared Goff is the talk of the town right now. He is totally made a 180. He had that perfect game. I think this offense is figuring it out. I don't know if that's true for the boys on the other side. So the Cowboys are struggling. We've all talked about it, especially on this show, because it feels like every matchup is kind of the game that'll get them going. And they've been struggling with the run. It's just, there's a lot of problems with the Cowboys. So first off, they're at home. They can take advantage of this opportunity. Amon St. Brown is that guy. What are we doing here to help the Lions offense stay tamed in Dallas? Brock, take it away.
Pray. I think that's number one. Make sure you have a good conversation with the Lord this morning. No, but honestly, I think that you have to. You can only rush 4. You have to drop 7 in coverage. I think that you can mix up your coverages. I think you can run a little man, a little zone here and there to try and keep Jared Goff on his toes. But realistically, I think what you need to do is you need to shut down Amon St. Brown. You need to make Jared Goff go to his other weapons, and you need to try to keep the ball from the line of scrimmage as much as possible. And I know that the line that to mix it up was a screen passes here and there, a little RPO, especially to pound the rock as much as possible. But you need to count on your guys up front that they're going to be able to get enough penetration to limit the run game as much as possible and try and force Jared Goff into uncomfortable situations, especially on third down. I would say double Amon-Ra and be willing to adjust how many men you put up on the line, depending on how you're able to handle the run game. And honestly, I would just stack the line of scrimmage every single time and just have my defenders start popping out in coverage randomly. That's the only way to keep to keep a guy like Jared Goff on his toes and maybe force him into a mistake is by, disguising your coverages. And if you can't do that, again, pray that Dak Prescott is able to throw and get for another 250 yards on the other side of the ball. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy out here, but I really do not see a path to victory for the Dallas Cowboys.
Uh-oh, Jeff.
Well, I'm going to say this. This is an uphill battle for the Dallas Cowboys,
Yes.
and it's not because the Lions are as hot. It's because plain and simple is what the Dallas Cowboys have not. Okay? Plain and simple. Right? They have their top 3 pass rushers out. Micah Parsons is out. DeMarcus Lawrence is on IR. He will return this season. And Sam Williams has been out since the preseason. He will not return this season. And then you lose Marshawn Nealon for this game with a knee injury. He's most likely not playing today. So that's number 4. Okay, so now you're relying on guys that you have in the depth of your roster, guys you've signed off your practice squad coming in. This is going to be a makeshift pass rush, a thing that the Lions are going to love, because you have guys like Penei Sewell's not hurt, right? He's going to be out there. Taylor Lewan's not hurt. He's going to be out there. Frank Ragnow's not hurt. He's going to be out there. The Lions' offensive line is intact. Dallas struggled with them last year when they had everybody. They're going to have issues this time around because, plain and simple, you don't have everybody. Your middle linebacker, you brought in Kendricks. He knows the scheme. He is the captain of this defense. He is not playing today. Okay, so now you're going to be using your most athletic bunch of linebackers, but not your smartest linebackers. So, oh, by the way, did I mention the fact of the matter is that they may still be without their rookie Carson, who was starting at corner, because Deron Bland won't be back for this game either. So while you have a banged up Trayvon Diggs, while you have a healthy Jordan Lewis in the slot, you are starting a practice squad corner the past couple of games because Carson was out. Kalen Carson was out. So there have been injuries at every level of this defense and players that you desperately need. If you're going to try and shut St. Brown down, you're going to use Diggs. But guess what? Who's going to cover Jamison Williams going vertical? Who's going to cover Laporta at that tight end position? So if anything's going to help this Dallas defense out today, it's got to be the creativeness of Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer has to come through for them today. Find a way to, one, get pressure without being compromised in coverage. Slow the run down on early downs, because you know Detroit's going to run the football, knowing Dallas has had issues early in the season stopping the run. They've been better the past couple of weeks, which is why they've won their last 2 games. But they have to come out there, stop the run on early downs. They have to find a way to generate pressure with a diminished pass rush, and they have to find a way to cover these receivers with a banged up secondary. It is a challenge for this Dallas defense. Forget about Dak Prescott and the offense. They're finding ways to move the ball. The problem is, can this defense get stops? If this defense can't get stops, it's going to look just like the New Orleans game, where the offense could score all they want. It doesn't matter. Your defense can't stop them.
Yeah, I think
this
that's
is one unfortunate. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think there's one unfortunate part with your argument that needs to be stated when you said that Dallas' run defense looked a lot better the past 2 weeks. It also helped that they were playing against teams that don't have quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the New York Giants and Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a problem is that Jared Goff, unlike Trevor Lawrence, he's a guy that got paid over $200 million and didn't forget how to be an NFL quarterback. That's gonna be the death kind of stroke for the Dallas Cowboys today. The fact that Jared Goff is an accurate passer of the football and can do the simple things consistently time and time again. So I think that there's going to be actually a decrease with their effectiveness in run defense. And unfortunately, that's going to be the domino effect of what will be the collapsing statue that is the Dallas Cowboys defense, unfortunately for them. There's just too much that coming at them too fast, and they don't have the personnel or honestly the scheme to keep up with it. And one more part that I would like to see is, how does this Dallas defense respond when Zimmer starts cussing them out? Because Mike Zimmer is a coach that will never change his ways until the day he dies. He is aggressive, he's hard-nosed, and he's brutally honest. And you're dealing with a different type of player in the modern NFL. I honestly think that if things go downhill fast with Dallas, this could lead to fractured relationships within the organization. And that's something that was going to be very interesting to keep an eye on moving forward.
Jeff, do you have anything you want to say about
No, listen, I understand exactly where he's coming from. But listen, sometimes you get an undermanned team that performs and gets it done. they're gonna have to ask a lot of guys to step up. It's not like you're missing one guy. It's not like you're missing two guys.
Right.
Not like you're missing three guys. You're missing four guys from your pass rush alone. You're missing two linebackers that could have made a difference. Remember, they're missing Nick Vigil, who plays special teams for them. And guess what? He was a backup linebacker, possibly at Mike for them. So they have a bunch of things missing from this defense. To miss your Mike linebacker in a scheme where he plays every down is a problem. It's not like the Mike linebackers who come off and the nickel guys play out there. He matters because he calls all the schemes. He calls all the adjustments. You're going to ask Demarion Overshown, who's a hell of an athlete, but he's a chase player, to go out there and do that. We'll see how that works out. You're going to ask Lois Leofow to go out there and be that guy. He's not that guy yet. He's an athlete. He's very good at attacking, but overall he has some questions in coverage, and overall he does have issues at times, with gap discipline. So those two guys have to play a lot. Then you also, have the linebacker from LSU coming back. It's going to be playing off the bench. And I think he's the guy you have to look at and say, can you step up? Last year, you had issues with gap integrity, which is why they got gashed a lot, especially in that playoff game, which is why he got replaced this year. Can he come off the bench and do what Kendricks does? That if that's going to be the three linebackers, you're asking a lot of guys who don't have consistent gap integrity in the running game. And then also there's questions about them in coverage. And I already mentioned the secondary. So there's a big problem right now going on in Dallas because, plain and simple, you have multiple guys at every level missing. That's never a good thing for your defense and your offense, which is, like I said, capable of putting up points, but not at a premium like they've done the past couple of years. So right now, you're asking a lot of this Dallas Cowboy defense to go out there and stop Detroit with what they have. It was different if you compromised in the secondary only. It's different if you compromise at linebacker only, but to be compromised at all three levels is a major concern.
It is. And you know who's winning right now? Michael Parsons. Because right now he's sitting on the sideline, pointing his finger, saying, I see the guys you paid, and this is what happens when I'm not paid. Are you sure? So definitely his bank account is smiling at the potential that could be if Dallas isn't able to turn up today, like they haven't been these past couple of weeks. When they've played, in the past weeks when they've played against quarterbacks can actually, throw the ball.
Yeah, I think after this week, if the Cowboys do struggle and we do see them lose, there's going to be a lot to talk about what they can change on the defensive side, because it is down bad right now. All right, next game.
With the injuries all over the league, you're not going to be able to sign anybody this year. You're going to have to fight through what you got. It is what it is. There's just too many injuries around this league for people to go to the waiver wire and say who's out there. You got to look at your practice squad. You got to look at what you got. You may be able to get some depth off the waiver wire, but you're not going to get the impact players at this point. Everybody is hurt.
So then, you just roll with the rest of the season.
You gotta find a way. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. We say next man up for a reason, because it literally is at times. There's nobody feels sorry for you. You got to win with what you got.
Yeah. I mean, that's especially when you paid everybody the way that you did. Like, the money's got to show up. On the other side of the ball, what do you think looks like for the Lions here? How do they kind of just take over, since it sounds like we all understand the Cowboys are falling apart?
Lightning and Thunder, David Montgomery, Jimmy G.
Especially David Montgomery got paid.
Yeah, great. It's rare to see a running back get paid a third time in the NFL. It's a lot more rare to see them get paid in the middle of the season. But it just shows the difference in Lions culture, and also just how successful he's been since he moved out from Chicago. I'd say you probably rock with them as much as possible, and you force Dallas to adjust defensively, and then that's when you hit them with the play action. I think that I'm going old school. I want Jared Goff under center 24/7. All right, you got Lee Fowl back there. Yeah, he's real suspect in coverage. He's very suspect, and he bites a whole bunch of times. So we're going to pound the rock. We're going to make him feel nice and comfortable, try and get aggressive, try to get violent up front, and then boom, we're going to hit him over the top with the play action, with Laporta, with Amon-Ra, and then maybe we take a deep shot with Jameson Williams here and there. Maybe we'll run some horizontal runs with Jameson, the jet sweeps with Jameson Williams. But I say you don't get cute, you get aggressive, you get physical, especially in the trenches, and you wear Dallas down over time. And you make that defense tired. Because Dallas has a quick strike offense because they only have a passing. Yeah, Rico Dowdle had 80-something yards last week on 20 carries, but let's be real now. That's not a sustainable effort, especially with this defense in front for Detroit. So they're going to be passing the ball quickly. And if Dallas is able to win this game, they're going to have to put up points and points fast, which means they're going to be taking downfield shots, which means if they get them, that's more time their defense has to spend on the field. So I say you spend the first 3 quarters wearing them down with the run game, and that's when you're able to exploit them in the fourth and seal this game. And as we all know, passing offense is not sustainable in the NFL, so they'll wither out regardless.
I'm going to go a little different, not totally, right? I believe the Saints model is how you win this game if you're Detroit. You come out there early, you hit them with a little run, you hit them with a little pass, hit them with both, right? So you can go out there and show you're balanced enough. And while they're on their heels because they can't stop either or, you run it up early and then run it down their throats late. Okay? And I think that's what you got to do to Dallas in this situation. If they're going to score, let them score late in the game when they're trying to catch up. But you got to put up a lot of points early. Take them out of this game because it's going to make them one-dimensional. The more one-dimensional Dallas is, the easier prey that they are. Okay, so the main thing is you want to make them one-dimensional, go out there and score early. Score your first 3 drives, 21 points. If they get 3 points or 7 points, that's 14 points. That's double lead. And at that point, they're going to start to get to the point where they press offensively because they are not built to consistently come back from big leads. 7 points down, yes. 3 points down, yes. But double-digit leads consistently is a problem for this Dallas team currently. Their defense isn't built for it right now. They don't have the people to hang with that kind of thing where they have to constantly come back from double-digit leads. And offensively, they are just an inconsistent bunch right now who are still trying to get their footing. So the main thing is this team, if you go out there and put points at a premium on them early and consistently you're finding the end zone, not with field goals, you can put Dallas in a bad situation that they just can't dig themselves out of.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a tough matchup for Dallas once again. All right, we're going to talk about our final game here, the Browns and the Eagles. At what point do we talk about what's happening with Deshaun Watson? Because I have seen some film from last week, and it feels like he is really just lost out there. Maybe he's not paying attention. I don't know, understand. As we see on the graphic, A.J. Brown is back. Jalen Hurts gets his number 1, and you could tell he's been struggling. So this game, I think, is really just a cleanup game for the Eagles, and it's a adjusting strategy game once again for the 6th week in a row for the Cleveland Browns. I'm not sure. Let's talk the Browns first. I've been talking about Deshaun Watson, and we all have here. It feels like he's continuously a little messy. And after the loss last week, it felt this like he's just not paying attention. There's just key moments where he can score, win the game, and it's just not happening. So what is going on offensively for himself and for, how he's taking on these matchups week by week?
I think the thing is, if he throws 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, that check is cashing no matter what. Like, that direct deposit is hitting regardless. That's what happens to give a guy a fully guaranteed contract. And to answer your original question, when should we start having this conversation with Deshaun Watson? 3 years ago. That's when we should have had to start having this conversation. When he held out an entire season. Is that the quarterback that you want for your future? Now, of course, at that time, there were some question marks around the Houston Texans front office, especially when it came to that Jack Easterby character. And now that they got rid of him, and obviously they're having the success that they're having now. But I don't think Kevin Stefanski quite understands that certain players require certain personnel, certain schemes to be successful. I also don't think Kevin Stefanski understands his own scheme. He loves to pound the football. That's who he's been in Minnesota. That's who he'll always be as a coach, especially an offensive-minded coach. You have a quarterback that can't play under center, and it's been listed as that time and time again. This is a quarterback that is a shotgun-based quarterback. He wasn't Clemson. He wasn't Houston. That's who he is. You also have a guy in Stefanski that likes to invest in two-star wide receivers, like how he's done in the past, whether that has been having Thielen and Diggs in Minnesota, or OBJ and Landry in Cleveland, or going on and getting Jerry Jeudy to pair with Amari Cooper this year. Again, you run the football. That's who you are. And these type of players don't fit. That's why they're all on the trade block less than 2 years once they finally join your organization. Lastly, when it comes to Deshaun Watson, I mean, at what point do you pull the plug? This is kind of the same dilemma that Joe Douglas has right now, because you can miss on a quarterback. You can't miss on two. And you definitely shouldn't get an opportunity to go for number 3. Not everybody gets to be the San Francisco 49ers, where you can just turn quarterbacks out there and just let it happen. That's a very unique situation. Andrew Berry had an opportunity to rectify himself. He had his out, which was Joe Flacco. Had he said, hey, Deshaun, it's not working out anymore, have a good one, take your money, have a wonderful day. We're going to still pay you because you cap it too much, but you don't even have to show up to the stadium anymore. You can also just cruise at your house. Let's go at Flacco, a quarterback that can play in the center, that thrives on play action, that understands how to set up a strong running game and how to make those calls at the line. Hey, maybe we start to forget a little bit about you trading 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. Not really, but a little bit. It feels more forgivable. But they did it, and now they're stuck to the rock and the hard place. You can't get rid of him. You can't really start Jameis over him. I mean, you can, but that's essentially a make your feet, which means that they don't need you anymore. And lastly, it just proves once again that some people are in football making decisions that don't understand the dynamics of football on and off the field, and allow those people, unfortunately, for Cleveland Browns fans, work for the organization you guys support.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on Greg's comment here. If you put in Jameis Winston when you're paying someone top dollar, it's obviously not a good look. And I don't think Winston is a better substitution in this matchup, especially the way that, I mean, he just loves to do what he wants, really, out there. And when you're the backup, I think that's the only way. You're either successful or you're not. So, Jeff, please touch on what you got to say about Mr. Watson here.
Well, you married this, right? You gave him the guaranteed contract. You married it. This is what it is, right? You can't get rid of it because it doesn't go away. All right. He's not going to take a trade because there's a no trade clause tied into that. And if he does take a trade, the other team's not going to want the guaranteed contract, and he's not going to get the guarantees either. So, Cleveland, this is your quarterback. Okay. For another 2 more years, this is your quarterback. Now, unless you get somebody in here that's cheap, that can play within the system, that can play while he sits on the bench as your backup, I don't think too many people are going to accept that. Okay, he's gonna sit around. He's gonna collect his money no matter what. It is what it is. But there's not too many guys that are coming here on the cheap. They're going to help you win. Okay? The only way to do that is to draft somebody.
Right.
Okay? So at this point, Cleveland, this is your quarterback. You have to find a way to make it work. That means you have to run the football. We can't seem to do that because we don't have Nick Chubb. You have an excellent young running back and forward back there who can run the football. The problem is Cleveland doesn't seem to be committed to the run now. This is a team that was built on the run. All of a sudden, they're not committed to the run. So now it relies on, yes, Deshaun Watson to earn every penny of that contract. He doesn't seem in sync with Amari Cooper. David Njoku is missing. Okay, this receiving core, you got Jerry Jeudy. He's been inconsistent, which has been consistent with his career so far. So right now, I'm seeing a problem in Cleveland in total, not just Deshaun Watson. He's a major part of this problem. The head coach is a major part of this problem because you got to realize when we're inconsistent, the one thing we've always relied on was our running game. We're not committed to that. We're not getting the best out of our players, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the highly paid receiver, whether it's the highly paid tight end, whether it's the young receiver that we brought in to help fix the situation. There are multiple problems here with this offense. They can't seem to figure it out. The defense is suffering because of it, because they're on the field way too long. And it is becoming a spiral that they're not getting out of. You want to fix it? Go out today, run the football down the throat of this Philadelphia team, allow Deshaun Watson to play within whatever you want them, the scheme you want them to play within. Allow that defense to go out there and get stops versus a tough Philly team. And maybe you have a chance of winning today. Or otherwise, it ends up like week 1 where you got demolished by the Cowboys, and all these other weeks where you go out there and you blow a lead. Or you go out there in a tight game and lose. Now, I don't want to totally blame them for the loss to the Colts because, plain and simple, that was a touchdown that the refs took away. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, you had 4 quarters to win that game and you didn't get it done. So this is where you look at Cleveland and say, a lot of this is self-inflicted. Yes, Deshaun Watson is not playing up to his contract. He's not playing up to what he was early in his career. But guess what? Amari Cooper ain't playing worth a darn either, and neither is David Njoku or Jerry Jeudy. So I'm going to put it on the collective of this team, not just on Deshaun Watson.
I couldn't agree more, because even if you put Winston in, it doesn't solve your problems in the slightest. Also, Jameis Winston, as much as I love Jameis Winston, I love watching him play because no matter what, it's entertaining. It's the bonus dilemma. Like good or bad, it's fun to watch. Jameis Winston is a divisive figure, without a doubt. Let's not forget that Dennis Allen got cussed at last year by Arthur Smith because Jameis Winston couldn't follow directions. I think a quarterback need. So Jameis doesn't necessarily solve virtually anything for Cleveland. And like you said, Jeff, the problems with the Browns are much more bigger than just Deshaun Watson. The offensive line play has been the worst I've seen from them in quite some time under Stefanski. As you mentioned, defensively not the same because they're constantly on the field. A bunch of personnel decisions, honestly, made by the Browns since that first year of Stefanski have been questionable at best. And then again, when you look at this team as a whole, not only are they not connecting with each other, I don't think they understand each other. They don't understand what everybody is good at. They don't understand what they were supposed to be good at. And they don't understand what winning football feels like anymore. And this is a playoff team, literally last year. And they completely look horrible. My last statement about this is that if you're Cleveland, you need to ask some really hard and honest questions about yourself, especially when it comes to Stefanski. Because even though Stefanski is a coach that went to the playoffs twice with an organization that has been trashed my entire lifetime, a coach that has a playoff, well, doesn't have a win because he wasn't there, but he led his team to the playoff, and that team won a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, right? You look at all this good stuff, but is any of that stuff going to happen again at this rate? Honestly, the way that things are changing, the way that they respond to the changes, I just don't see it. And I think it's time, unfortunately, that the organization needs to start saying goodbye to a lot of the major members or major faces, including.
I think that's definitely a conversation for our team breakdown. We should have one where we're talking about how all these teams need to adjust going for the future when they have possible pieces that could change the way that the franchise looks. So on the other side of the ball, Eagles are finally getting healthy. They got A.J. Brown back. They've got Devontae Smith back. This is really a gimme game for them because they are one of the teams that are supposed to be a contender within the NFC. We all know how they call themselves that. And I think if they don't take advantage of this game and next week they play the Giants, right? This is the come around time where they can get themselves back on track and take over the rest of their season. So for the Eagles, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? You're just playing strong football. You're targeting A.J. Brown. You're getting Jalen involved. It's like the entire way that the Eagles play. So defensively, what can the Eagles defense do, I guess, to combat all of the flaws that we just touched upon for the Browns offense?
Well, it starts with one, getting interior pressure. Okay, the interior of that defensive line at the Eagles that we all have lauded with their draft picks over the years, they've got to be dominant. It's got to be able to shut down the running game because the Browns love to run inside, but it's also got to be able to collapse the pocket from the inside to allow those outside pass rushers to ruin Deshaun Watson's day, right? If they give Deshaun Watson outs where he can escape up the middle and run for yards, if he can step up in the pocket and avoid those outside pass rushes, if they're not dominant inside, where they're able to set up short third downs because they're early down success in the running game, that's going to be a problem for this Eagles defense. They want to get these Browns in long situations, get turnovers, get them off the field quickly. If you let Cleveland hang around, you're going to make a mistake. right? Because any team that's down only needs one shot to knock you out. So Cleveland is down. You don't mess around and let them stay in this game by keeping them in it. You got to put them down early, set them up to fail early, consistently. They'll do that. And then you go out there and capitalize on it and score with your rejuvenated offense that's getting everybody back.
Yeah, I basically couldn't have anything more to say. Although I added, I want to see some 3x1 pass rushing sets. I'd love to see a guy like Jordan Davis out there just draw the double team so you can isolate Jalen Carter on the inside and get some interior pressure quite quickly. I definitely think a bunch of those young Georgia players need to step up. Nolan Smith is the guy that I have circled as he needs to establish himself as a premier pass rusher in this league before he gets labeled a bust before the time runs out on his rookie contract. And then secondly, I think you gotta go too high safety. I think that these DBs for the Eagles have exposed themselves way too many times this season. I think that for a team like Cleveland, as you mentioned, backs against the wall, they're gonna try to take some shots deep early. I think that you need a guy that can shit back there, covering everything up. And I'm okay to get little dinky dunky yards. To me, it's more about bend but don't break, because they have no way of breaking you unless you allow them to break yourselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. I believe that this Eagles offense is on the other side, like I already mentioned. So I think this is their time to show everyone that they could still be a dominant force in the NFC. All right, we're going to take a quick review at our money line bets here, and then we're going to roll into our rapid fire picks. Stay tuned.
The time is almost here. Our picks for the week coming next on Moving the Chains, the only way to start your football Sunday.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Moving the Chains. It's time for our rapid fire picks. I'm excited to hear where Brock goes because this is his first time doing the rapid fire with us. So let's kick it off. Jeff, please, if you will, take it away.
All right, so it's time to talk rapid fire. I love rapid fire because we get to see where everybody really feels. We've done all the analysis. We've done all the breakdown. Now it's time to put your money where your mouth is.
Yes.
Who are you picking? Well, let's find out right now. Okay, so first game up is the Battle of the Beltway. All right. We got Ravens and Commanders. 1 o'clock. Joe is going Commanders. I know Greg will be putting in the chat who he's got. Brock, you're our honorary guy today. Who are you picking?
I got the Ravens in this one.
Okay, Jeff, you go first.
Well, Greg is going Ravens as well. To me, I got to look at these two teams. Who's more consistent? Washington is more consistent. However, I think this is an emotional game for both teams. I think Baltimore is the one team that can put them behind early and make it hard for them to take a lead and hold on to it. So I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one. I don't feel great about the pick.
Yeah.
But it's the one when I look at it, I believe this is the team that can go in and actually beat Washington. Granted, it'll be on the road, but it's a semi-home game now. Like we said, it's the Battle of the Beltway. They're right down the road from each other. That fans commingle. So I'm going to go Baltimore in this one, mostly because I believe at home they get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to go Baltimore too, only because they have someone named Derrick Henry on that team.
Oh, so we got to get the lone wolf out for Joe. Is he lone wolfing on his Commander?
Like, he has to pick his own team. It's only right.
Yeah, he avoids the unanimous pick there, and it's a heck of a thing to lone wolf on, right? Joe's going Green Bay over Arizona. What say you, Brock?
Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay as well for me. They got Christian Watson back. I spent all that fab on TV and Wicks for what? You know, it's a struggling matchup here.
That's how you
man.
That was hard.
I have lone wolfed on Arizona before and been burned. I'm almost afraid to do it again. Yeah, I am afraid to do it again. We're going unanimous on Green Bay.
Sorry, Green Bay.
Yeah, you got the major win last week. They don't go back to that.
Yeah.
Houston and New England. Joe has
Texans. There's no way he's picking anybody else.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm looking to make sure.
Are we going to have a Drake May sighting today?
I believe he said to start. If I'm not
He
mistaken.
said, okay. I didn't know. I was in Cabo. I really missed it.
Well, Greg is taking the Texans. I'm going to double check Joe's pick here.
Well, there's no way he's picking New England. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah, cool.
Brock, who you got?
I got Houston in this one.
Ashmere?
We're Houston all around.
All right. Well, I believe he has the Texans here. So I'm going Texans with Joe. And we're going to go unanimous. Boy, oh boy, Houston doesn't want to hear that. But
yeah, they definitely don't.
That's been a very tenuous bet with Houston going to unanimous on it.
Hey, if the Dolphins can get it done, I surely believe the Texans can get it done.
Joe has already picked the Bucks. Greg is picking the Bucks. Does anybody believe that New Orleans is going to get this done?
No, definitely not.
No.
They have a chance for sure, but I'm going Tampa Bay all the way.
Yeah. Is this New Orleans? In New Orleans?
This is yes, in the dome in New Orleans. Yes.
Oh yeah. Baker's gonna bake.
They're saying Baker is who that? Okay. We were just talking about this matchup. Cleveland at Philadelphia. At Philadelphia, not in Cleveland, but at Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would never want to play in Philly when they're getting AJ Brown back, so I'm gonna pick Philly.
Yeah, so here EAGLES Eagles all the way.
We're getting too unanimous here. Okay, we're getting too similar. This is where things go wrong.
Sorry, pick somebody else. I'm not changing my picks though.
Joe took the Eagles.
Jeff, we know you're taking the Eagles.
Well, yes, I'm going to take the Eagles. Listen,
with the Browns.
The Browns are just struggling right now. It's hard to
Greg,
take them over.
Greg is only doing this to break the mold.
Greg is taking the Browns. Yes, it's that hate for the Eagles right there.
Yes,
he's lone wolfing on the Browns. For those that don't know, Joe is not here because he's actually engaged in the relief efforts here in Tampa after Hurricane Milton. It's the reason why we don't have a Bucks Weekly this week is because I was affected by Hurricane Milton. While it doesn't look like it, we had no power for over 20 hours this weekend. In my area, there are areas of Tampa that still do not have power, do not have gas and other things. So please continue to support any relief efforts any way you can here after Hurricane Milton came through the Florida area. Indianapolis, Tennessee. Joe is going Colts.
This is ugly.
You know what happens when we get a lot of consensus picks?
I don't really know who to pick. I'm gonna go Colts too.
Brock?
Unfortunately, I have to go Colts as well.
Jeff, are you unanimous?
I don't trust either one of these teams.
I think this is a great fantasy game, but not an NFL game.
Once again, I believe Richardson is out, and we're going to have a Joe Flacco sighting again today.
Yes. I know Jonathan Taylor.
No Jonathan Taylor, yes. But I'm going to lone wolf on Tennessee.
Okay. That's good. I almost joined you.
Richardson listed as inactive. Joe
Yes.
Flacco to start.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
The Fighting Harbaughs, the Chargers, take on the rising Sean Payton's Broncos in Denver.
Dude, I love watching two Oregon QBs duel it out, okay? I'm going to pick Denver. I think their defense is slightly better.
How about you, Brock?
Oregon has produced many great quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think that both these gentlemen have the opportunity to carry that torch into the future. However, I think Herbert's ability to limit turnovers compared to a player like Nick will be different in this one. That's why I'm picking the Chargers.
Well,
good point.
Too bad you're not on the board, Brock, because you wouldn't be lone wolfing this one. I believe the Fighting Harbaughs get it done. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. So we got your favorite, the Raiders, hosting the Steelers after that tough loss.
Oh, God. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh.
You're going to pick Pittsburgh. You're going against the family.
I'm going against the people.
Yeah.
I really like seeing Justin Fields be successful out there. So that's my true reasoning. That's all it is.
Michael Corleone says you never go against the family.
I know, but starting Devontae drama, it's ugly. It's ugly in the Raider Nation.
And Joe is going with Raider Nation.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Brock, what say you?
I think that when the Steelers come out west, so does the fans, and they're going to be packed in the stadium. I'm going Pittsburgh.
I think Pittsburgh bounces back. It was a tough loss, an emotional loss Sunday night. Yeah, he's going to lone wolf on the Raiders on this one. I think Pittsburgh gets it done on the road. I think that, let's face it, that was a tough loss at home against Dallas. They battled, no doubt about it, but they're a better team than people give them credit for.
I would rather the Raiders be the worst team so that we can get another quarterback next year. That would be great.
Indeed. Okay, Atlanta at Carolina.
Give me Kirk Cousins.
Agreed. Give me Big Kirko and the Falcons big in this one.
Kirk Cobain's out there.
Drake London has impressed me. He is quickly turning into one of the premier wide receivers in this league. And with him and Nico Collins, I think that we're going to see a new prototype of wide receiver infect the NFL the next 2 to 3 years. AKA Tetrarod McMillan at Arizona. We're going to get some nice, draft stock boostage because of those guys.
Well, I've lone wolfed a couple of times. I ain't lone wolfing on Carolina. Not happening. Not happening. Okay. The primetime matchup as far as the late window games. Dallas hosting Detroit.
Yep. No doubt about it. With Ashmere on that one as well. I can't talk about the stuff I did against Dallas in the picture.
Yeah. I mean, we were going down the Dallas hole. Okay.
I haven't seen Greg's pick yet. I can tell you right now, it'll be real easy to go Dallas at home. They've won the last 5 matchups, I believe, at home versus Detroit. I don't think they win today. I think Detroit snaps a streak. Greg is lone wolfing on the boys.
Hey, you got to do it. You got to root for your people.
I think he wanted to wait for me to make my pick before he said that. All right, Cincinnati and the Giants in prime time. I don't know how this is still prime time. I thought this would have been flexed out, but
yeah, definitely.
But nevertheless,
you know what? Daniel Jones does good football. Okay, he knows how to make things exciting.
Oh, he does for Giant fans.
Exciting is a good way to put it. Like no matter what, I will be watching.
It's chaotic. It's chaotic excitement. I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
All right.
I think just like me, we're gonna get our second win today.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Bengals as well. I mean, Daniel Jones is like the toxic ex. Like, sure, there's some highlights in the relationship, but when you take a look with clear eyes, it was all bad for the majority.
Yeah.
By going unanimous, do we jinx them?
No.
And do we jinx them and make them look like the Bungles tonight? Because that is a very real thing when we go unanimous. All right, but yes, we're going unanimous on Bengals. Bills at the Jets. Jets, Jets. Greg is going Bills. Joe has the Jets. Believe it or not. He believes in Aaron Rodgers, he says.
Wow.
What say you?
Well,
I'm going to go with Buffalo. No, go ahead.
Buffalo. No, I was just going to say, everyone that believes in Aaron Rodgers ends up getting fired. So I'm going Buffalo as well.
Yeah, he's like a very dangerous energy to have around. For somebody that believes in nature and like the holistic lifestyle, his energy is a little bad.
Yes. According to my lady, if Aaron Rodgers was a star sign, he'd be a Gemini. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know she doesn't know many good Geminis, and that's why.
I was gonna say the two-faced look is not a good one.
That's what a Gemini means.
Yes,
that is good to know. I feel much more confident.
Listen. I'm going to defend Geminis being a Gemini. Hey, we're not all that way.
Yeah. Now brought him on Gemini.
But nevertheless, does Joe Lone Wolf here? Oh, you bet he does. I have been burned by the Jets. I think I picked the Jets twice and they lost last week twice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not happening this week. No, not happening. All right. So, last but not least, the Thursday night matchup, the return of Sean Payton to the scene in New Orleans. The man that says, "I got you your damn trophy," comes home.
I'm going to go New Orleans.
Has the Saints. Yeah, Joe has the Saints. Ashmere is taking the Saints.
I already gave Denver one win. I can't give them all to them.
Fair.
What say you, Greg?
Yeah, Greg,
and
what
Brock?
you got? Well, to one way for Greg, I gotta go with the Saints in this one. Bo Nix, I think he actually played good today, so that means he won't play good next week. So that's
it's a short week.
Greg is taking the Saints at home.
Ooh.
Well, guess what? I'm lone wolfing. I think the man goes back and says, "I got you your damn trophy, and I'm leaving with a win too. Give me the Broncos on the road in that one."
Okay, you saved the Saints. You saved the Saints from maybe losing that game.
And there you have it. That is rapid fire.
Perfect.
This week.
All right, everyone. We've got 30 minutes to kick off. Thank you all for joining. If you are new, be sure to like, subscribe, follow all of the good things for Team NBS Media. Thanks for Brock and Jeff for being here. We appreciate everyone tuning in, and I hope you enjoy your week 6 and your Sunday.